Okay, we're getting started on the next unit. So this is on conic sections. So we'll go ahead and get started. Just kind of give you a quick background on what we're talking about. Okay, this is how we define cones or a conic section. Basically, think about it like two ice cream cones where it's point to point. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be investigating the different shapes you can make. So the first shape we're going to talk about is like if I just were to horizontally cut this straight across, then that's going to be a circle. So we're going to talk about when we cut it, we get a circle. The next one is if I cut one of these cones at kind of an angle. And if I cut one of those cones at kind of an angle, I'm going to get an ellipse. Okay, that's the next one. The third one is, okay, I'm going to cut it straight up and down. So I'm going to cut it kind of like this. And if I cut it straight up and down, what I'm going to get is called the hyperbola. And then the last one is going to be kind of if I cut a corner off of it. And if I cut a corner off of it, I'm going to get a word you've seen before. I'm going to get like a parabola. So each one of these we're going to cover on a day. So today we're going to start with circles. And here's what I want to kind of talk about with circles. So these are the notes we did on day one. We did these forms here on these notes. So for circle F, first thing we're going to do is we're going to try and figure out what the standard form of a circle is. And it's going to be this: x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. H and k are going to be the center of the circle. R is going to be the radius of the circle. Radius. So in this case, when I look at this circle, circle F, the center of it is going to be, if I count it, it's -5, 4. And the radius, if I count, is 1, 2, 3, 4. The radius is 4. So if I fill in the blanks here, what I'm going to get is I'm going to get a circle that's going to be x minus -5 squared, because the x part is my h, plus y minus 4 squared, 4 is my k, equals the radius squared, which is going to be 4 squared. So if I fix this up, this double sign, what's going to end up happening is this guy's going to look like this: x plus 5 squared plus y minus 4 squared equals 4 squared, which is 16. So that's that's my first circle. That's my equation in standard form. I'm going to do circle M as well. So circle M, if we look, circle M, its center is at 4, 0, and its radius is 1, 2, 3. Its radius is 3. So if I plug in the numbers, it's going to be x minus 4 squared plus y minus 0 squared equals 3 squared. So it's going to be x minus 4 squared plus y minus 0. We could just write this as y squared equals 9. So that's going to be my my next one. And you could follow the keys online. We can take a look at this. So again, here's the deal. If we're just given the information, so let's say we're given this is my h, this is my k, this is my r. I want to write the equation. I do x minus my h value, so x minus -5 squared plus y minus -3 squared equals the square root of 5 squared. We got a double sign, a negative and a negative. That's going to give me a positive. So that's going to be x plus 5 squared plus 2 negatives give me a positive, y plus 3 squared equals. And when I square something that's a square root, I just end up getting the number underneath. So that's how we go ahead and get that one. There's our equation. Next piece, we said doing it reverse. So I'm giving you this and you're going to give me this information. So the way you want to think about it is, this is a -3 in here. When I pull it out, it's going to be a +3. Change the signs. This is a +1 in here. When I bring it out, it becomes a -1. So my center is 3, -1, h and k. This is my r squared. So my r squared is 36. So to figure out the radius, I take the square root of 36 and make it 6. So that was the beginning of it. That's the first thing that's actually figuring it out from a point in a radius or from a picture. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you what is called completing the square. So completing the square is I want to get this right here. This is called general form. I want to get it in the standard form. So what I want to do is I want to translate this so that it looks like this: x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Excuse me, sorry. So here's how I do it. First order of business, let's move this number over to the other side. So we're going to subtract, and we're going to get x squared plus y squared minus 4x plus 8y equals negative 11. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to group the x stuff together. So that becomes x squared minus 4x, and we're going to have plus y squared plus 8y, and that's going to equal negative 11. Now I left the spaces in here for a reason. We're going to do something called completing the square. The way I do that is I take the number in front of the x, so that negative 4. I want to take half of that number. So half of negative 4 gives me negative 2. I want to square that number. So when I square that number, when I square negative 2, I'm going to get a positive 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a plus 4 here. And in math, if I put something on one side, I need to mirror it on the other side. So I'm going to put a plus 4 there. So it looks a little bigger. Do the same thing on the second one. I have a positive 8 there. What is half of positive 8? Half of positive 8 is positive 4. I'm going to square that positive 4. When I square that positive 4, I'm going to get positive 16. I'm going to put the plus 16 here. If I do it to one side, I got to do it to the other. And now the reason that I do this is the following. The reason I do this is now I can do something called completing the square. What I can actually do is I can now look at this entire expression and I can factor this so it looks like this up here. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to have an x squared. So I'm going to have it look like this. And here's where I get this number right here. Whatever this number is exactly as it appears, this negative 2, I'm going to bring it on down. I'm going to put negative 2. Plus, do the same thing for the y. Put the y down. Whatever number I put here, this positive 4, we're going to bring down, becomes plus 4. Equals. Now I'm going to simplify this. Negative 11 plus 4 plus 16 is going to give me a 9. So now I have this thing in the form that I want to use. If I wanted to look at the center in this one is going to be a positive 2, negative 4. And the radius is going to be the square root of 9 or 3. So that's how we do completing the square. We did a practice today where we did it 6 times. Again, if you were here, I suggest that you make sure you practice so you feel comfortable with it. If you weren't here, I'd suggest taking a look at the practice in the folder and just working your way through that. But that is what we did today.